Well, no, exciting game for the fans. I hope they enjoyed that, but very resilient of our girls to play the way that they did on both ends, defensively as well as offensively. Very proud of the fight. There were 7 of us tonight, and we knew that going in, and it was something that we didn't kind of shy away from and focused in on, is that this is all we have, but it's more than enough, and I definitely believe they rose to the occasion and showed that tonight.
Jocelyn, I'm curious about that 16-0 run from your perspective. You scored 10 consecutive points between the third and fourth quarters. What changed there for you? What did you see there in the third and fourth quarter?
I mean, really, it's just taking the open shot. Thankfully, I was knocking it down today, so there wasn't too much of a change, or wasn't too much that I think we drew up or anything. It was just taking what the defense gave us.
And Coach, what did you see out of Jocelyn there in that critical run that got you guys the lead in the fourth quarter?
Well, I think one time I actually had to remind her that she was wide open. So once she realized that she had an advantage and that she could kind of get to her shot when she wanted to, she did that confidently and aggressively, and that's what we need from her. I mean, I don't mind, if she's missing. The fact that her attempts, it just kind of does something for our team. They expect her to lead in a certain way, and when she does that, it kind of just bleeds into the rest of our team, especially when it's happening in a confident way.
Tina, you've been talking since before the season about how you were going to need to lean on these veterans, and just in a game like this, how valuable is it to have that kind of veteran players like that, and just how have they shouldered that burden? Because obviously shorthanded, it's an even bigger burden now.
Well, I just think that our attitude is changing, and that we're kind of trusting and believing the things that we've been telling them from the beginning, and they're taking on the responsibility of that, specifically because we're putting a lot of players, even though we're kind of elder in years, not necessarily in opportunity, and the more comfortable they get in being in the positions that we're putting them in, and things they're seeing, kind of the stuff that we're talking about coming to fruition, it changes, something about you. Lisa was good today. She listened, and we told her the things that were available. Offensive rebounding, key in this game. Not necessarily her getting them herself, but also the ones that she was kind of getting her hand on. It gave us more opportunities, and when we cashed in on them, it was good for us. So, great job, Lisa.
Coach, you've been talking about since the beginning of the season, before even, about wanting a more free-flowing offense, and I feel like I've seen a lot more of that, and the pace is a little different. Could you talk a little bit about how that's progressing?
Well, it's starting to look a lot like what we've talked about. It's kind of been a little like pulling teeth to get our kids to take shots, which is so different, I'm sure, for coaches in the rest of the country. But, we're kind of putting them in a position that they haven't been before, so it's going to take time. But we want to take open shots and the shots that are available to us. But we got to take them with confidence. It's really important. It's not just to take a shot because you're open, but it's a shot that you can make. It's a shot that you work on. We're putting our kids in a position to do the stuff that they do well. And, when they kind of dial in on that, good things happen for us. So we're a work in progress, but we're starting to see a lot of good signs in the things that we've been talking about and working on, which I'm really proud of.
And Lisa, Coach mentioned how shorthanded you guys were, only 7 healthy bodies. What's that like being out on the court, knowing you're not going to get that many subs?
I mean, we knew this coming into, this week, that this is going to be a tough week. So we were all trying to make sure that we are taking care of our bodies, getting our mindset right, because we knew we would have to play a lot of minutes. Then out there, just trusting ourselves. We know that we've been preparing for these kind of situations. Our practices have been a little bit lighter just to save us. So we knew that we put in the work beforehand in order to successfully play on the court, and then executing, of course.
Jocelyn back here, kind of along those same lines, but being so shorthanded, and like we said before, we all knew you were going to be a player this team was going to lean on regardless. But when you're so shorthanded, how does that change your approach, or does it? How does it impact things?
I think I try and be the same aggressive player day in and day out, regardless of who's on the court. my role doesn't change too much. I feel like, whether we have 10, 7, I'm still supposed to be a leader and do that. I think, I have to be a little bit smarter, make sure I'm not getting charges or getting into foul trouble, which I did a little bit tonight. So from that standpoint, it changes a little bit. But in terms of what I need to do and how aggressive I am on the court, that shouldn't change.
Does it add any maybe tiny extra burden because there aren't as many reinforcements?
I mean, I don't see it that way. I think I always say,
right word, you know what I mean? Yeah.
I think I always say I put more pressure on myself than anyone or anything else does. So I feel like, again, that doesn't change too much for me.
Coach, this is now 2 games that Erica's missed. Can you give us an injury update on her?
Hopefully we'll have her back soon, but it's kind of day to day.
Any idea what the injury is at this point?
I wish I studied medicine, but unfortunately,
Okay, no, that's
yeah.
fine. So obviously I know you got about a little over a month before ACC play starts. What do you want to clean up between now and then?
Well, we want more bodies. That would be great. I'm going to put that on my Christmas list and hope for that, because it's already on my prayer list. So maybe Santa will kind of jump in and help in that area. But I mean, we just want to be more efficient. We've put in a lot of kind of new things, and we're asking our kids to do different things. But we've had time, and we're seeing those things kind of happen in a good way. So we're going to continue to be repetitive about the things that we've been kind of preaching from the beginning, and continue to work on them, and hopefully, they'll happen in the order and the way that we need so that we'll be prepared to start the ACC season.
Hi, so you have won the past 2 games at home, and you're going into your 3rd game now coming up this weekend. So how are you preparing for that next, home game? How are you going to prepare for that, hopefully, to get that win?
Well, pretty much the same way. I mean, because we're shorthand, we're doing a lot of just kind of scouting and detailed things, with the other team. We're not a lot of stuff in the half court. We're not running a lot simply because, our kids are, one, they're in finals, so mentally the capacity is very small. So not a lot of running, very short, precise practices, and we want to save their legs. And they've been doing everything necessary, kind of getting in the training room, drinking, eating well, staying up really late. I mean, I wouldn't encourage that, but considering it's finals, then it's kind of necessary.
Coach, what's your strategy on the bench now that you don't have as many players? It's a chess game because you've got a situation where you have a short bench where it's a conditioning thing, but also you have to balance that with what you need to do from an X's and O's strategy standpoint. How are you guys doing that?
We're finding advantages. I mean, and we're kind of taking the chances. When teams go really big, we go small, so we can run them. When, they go small, then we'll go big, and we might have to sit into a zone some of the time, but then we're going to pound the ball inside. So it is a bit of a chess game, but, it's necessary. We're not going to stop. We're going to continue to fight, and we're just going to have to figure out how, the ways in which we can get our fight in. So it has to be a little bit more strategic because we can't rely on, what is normal.
Coach, American University, they took a big lead going into half on a run with the last 3 minutes, the second quarter. What did you tell the team at halftime to just change how the game was going?
Well, we turned the ball over a lot more than we wanted to. I believe we had 11 turnovers, and I would probably say that about 9 or 10 of them were unforced, where we were just kind of making really long passes, that we were trying to complete passes that, home run passes and plays that weren't necessarily there. And we had to kind of make them play defense a little bit longer, take the opportunities when they were available, and then not execute our offense, because we believe that in executing our offense that the things that we wanted would eventually reveal themselves.
Any last questions? All right. Thank you, ladies, very much.
All right. Thanks, guys.